Tuesday, January 6th here on the Just Baseball Show, and we are playing general manager for three teams in the American League West. We're going to talk about the Houston Astros, the LA Angels, and the No City Designation Athletics, who will soon be in Las Vegas. You got Aram and I am Peter Apple. A big day for playing GM, and it's all brought to us by BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code JustBaseball when signing up, and you will get up to a $1,500 new player offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code JustBaseball. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. If that bet loses, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. And once you do, on top of the new player offer, the pro football playoffs are finally here, and BetMGM is giving you two ways to make every snap even bigger. First up, the odds boost token. Activate it on any pro football playoffs bet, and if your pick hits, you're looking at an even bigger payout. Simple as that. And if you want a little extra peace of mind, grab your no sweat token, attach it to the qualifying bet, and if things don't go your way, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets. No sweat, literally. BetMGM, make it legendary. Football can wait.
I was going to say, though, congrats on another profitable NFL season for you. If people aren't in the Discord keeping up with that, or just following up with your picks. The funny thing is the Discord, like, of course it's baseball first. Like I'll sprinkle in like minor league signings. They're like, it's the only community that's going to care about stuff like that before we report it, or prospect rankings or whatever. But I also love that, like, I was sitting watching the FCS championship yesterday, which, by the way, was one of the best games I've ever watched because it was so bad and good at the same time.
I get that.
They won in overtime. But I go into the college football chat, which is in our Discord, and like, there's people in there watching that. So I've got people to like hop into conversations with when I'm like, my girlfriend Ellie calls it miscellaneous sports. Like when it's nighttime and there's no baseball, and I'll just flip something on. It's become a really fun community to just talk about, whatever's going on in the football world too.
Yeah, the irony of our Discord is that it's called Just Baseball, but in the off season, I'm fully involved with the NFL and betting and all that good stuff. We do have a separate football YouTube channel. If maybe you're listening and you didn't even know, Just Gridiron Fans, where I am giving out my NFL picks. Ended the year profitable in the NFL, and we're really excited to get it going in the playoffs, of course. But people didn't click on this episode to hear about football. This is the Just Baseball Show, and we got three teams. And I texted you beforehand, and I said, these three teams are kind of done, at least at first glance. And then I started diving in a little bit more, and I said to myself, well, sometimes these episodes are a little bit more fun because this is where we get really creative.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, and I'm glad that we're starting with the Houston Astros here, you have a trade that you want to talk about that makes the Astros, again, I'm using the same word, but creative. But before that, I want to talk about the moves that the Astros have already done, just so we can talk about their offseason, and then we can dive into playing GM with the Astros. So number one, earlier on in the offseason, they traded second baseman Mauricio Dubon to the Atlanta Braves for shortstop Nick Allen. And I think at the time, Astros fans were a little bit frustrated with that move because it seems just on paper, Mauricio Dubon is a little bit better of a player than Nick Allen, but they're shedding a little bit of payroll. And I think that's where, again, the term creative is going to come into play here. Yeah. They traded Anderson Brito and Jacob Melton as part of a three-team trade. The Pirates traded starting pitcher Mike Burrows to Houston, and then the Rays traded Brandon Lau, Jake Mangum, and relief pitcher Mason Montgomery. They also signed free agent right-handed pitcher Ryan Weiss, and then the big move of the offseason, bringing in Tatsuya Imai, who we just discussed on yesterday's episode, what to expect from Imai on the Astros. Instead of just talking about that even further, we have a YouTube video on our YouTube page detailing that. It's also a part of the full episode. So this is really what the Astros do now after signing Tatsuya Imai. So the floor is yours. I, of course, have a few moves.
Yeah.
Mine are more, I would say, normal. And what I mean by normal is spending a little bit of money. trading prospects in order to get a big time piece, but I'm really excited to hear about yours.
The problem and why the Astros are so difficult to work with here is they have basically a self-imposed hard cap, right? They want that CBT to reset, so they don't want to go over that. And we saw like they were willing to pay nearly $10 million of a posting fee for a contract that's probably going to be 1 year, $21 million for Tatsuya Amai. But the $10 million posting fee doesn't count towards the CBT. It doesn't count towards the luxury tax. So I feel like they're okay spending money clearly or doing anything they can to stay below the tax. And so they're right up against it now after signing Amai. And I think you gotta create some room. And this is the interesting thing is I think Dana Brown is really, really good. It's kind of the Preller thing too, but different, obviously less aggressive. Phenomenal scout, phenomenal evaluator of talent. I mean, even look at what they did, with the Kyle Tucker trade to identify Cam Smith, and obviously looks like a great get for them. But just in general, I think his track record speaks for itself. But those are two important skills, the assembling of a team and budgeting and all of these different things and working with an owner who's going to impose strict budgets sometimes and then not as much the other times, you got to start to get more creative. And I think I love the trade in a vacuum, but when they brought in Carlos Correa, even with it paid down a little bit, that really made it even more difficult to work below the CBT. And I'd love to salary dump Christian Walker. Who the hell is going to take that contract at this point? You mentioned Dubon, which is a little bit more expensive. That was kind of a salary dump. You could trade Jake Myers, but I think they kind of need Jake Myers now, especially in center field. So the one guy I look at, and it's not crazy amount of money, but for what you're getting production-wise and really every dollar matters right now, I think you got to look into trading Jesus Sanchez. I understand they just acquired him. But they also had Zach Cole come up, who I still have some concerns about, but clearly showed that he has the talent to make an impact and be hot and cold and whatever. And that's what Jesus Sanchez is anyways, with less tools. And if you move Jesus Sanchez, I think they have, I'll double check now once I kick it back over to you. I think they've got about $6 million, $7 million in room. If you trade Jesus Sanchez, they might get closer to like 12, 13, and that might be where we can make a move.
So I got to be honest with you. Maybe I overestimated you. When you said that you were going to get really creative, I didn't think it was trading Jesus Sanchez away. We got to get crazy. What do you mean? You text me individually. I'm like, oh, what is Aram about to do? Is he about to trade Correa and Paredes in the same deal? How is that going to work? But then I'm realizing, no, Peter, you're talking about your brain. You're not talking about a measured brain where the word creative could mean that, because I also traded away Jesus Sanchez because you already mentioned Zach Cole. What about Cam Smith playing right field?
That's the other thing. He doesn't even have everyday at bats right now.
He needs everyday at bats. Like, he was a really strong player through the front half of the season, and in the back half, he hit a rookie wall. Happens to a lot of guys. I am by no means giving up on the lead guy in the Kyle Tucker trade. Now you could say, well, Isaac Paredes was. Yes, but this was your foundation piece. This is who you want to build around in Cam Smith. So I want him starting in right field every single day. And you said that the Astros still have about $6 to $7 million left before getting to the tax. Yep. What did we say in the episode prior? The Astros need a left-handed pitcher. Who is also owed $6.5 million next year? Trivia question for you.
Oh, look at you cooking. Exact amount of money?
Here's the problem. I know, but here's the problem. And I'll give you another hint. Do the Astros actually have the prospects in order to make this deal a reality?
Okay, let's hear it.
Mackenzie Gore.
Oh, interesting.
I have a package, but I want to talk about your Jesus Sanchez trade because I think that gives us a little bit more leeway.
We should start probably sexier, though. What do you think?
Well,
before I just care about micro moves. Dude, I have a minor league free agent signing.
Yeah, I mean, we're on different wavelengths here. I'm trying to go get Fromber back. You're talking about minor league free agents. We got to come together. They just signed your favorite guy, Imai. They are active. We can be active. I think trading away Jesus Sanchez is perfect because I want to trade for Mackenzie Gore, but I don't want to be $500,000 less than the cap because then that's the only move that we can make. I want to trade for Mackenzie Gore and potentially do just a little bit more, maybe totaling about $3 million, where we're still about $3 million shy of the tax. So I think it's actually better to start with your Jesus Sanchez move so we can clear a little bit more money to do the moves that I want to make. That's why you and I should run a team. This would be perfect.
The amount of times you'd come in and be like, I want to do this. I'm like, Peter, we either don't have the money for that or I don't want to trade every prospect.
Yeah, we can't side Frauber, Ranger, and trade for Gore and Ryan. We just can't do it. And I'm like, why?
So just for perspective, so people can understand, like, well, why are we picking Jesus Sanchez here to shed the money? Let me give you some other names, and you tell me if it would be worth moving them for salary reasons. And I think I'm going to know the answer. Isaac Paredes at an estimated $10 million.
I want him to rake in my lineup in Houston. I do not want to trade him.
Perfect for there.
Perfect.
Brian Abreu at 6.5.
I would be interested in the right deal. Like, I think a deal with the Dodgers, if you're getting potentially a big league starter in return, I like that. But I don't want to trade him for prospects. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also, like, I'm going to make a case too that I think they need some relief help too in general. So
I agree with you.
So, to kind of be like one step back, and then a half step forward.
But
you're not going to move Javier at 13 mil. You need
Here's the thing is, though, they do have 13 right-handed starters that won't be in the rotation that are not good enough to be a consistent 1 through 5 guy, but could turn into a solid bullpen arm. So that's where I'm like, I get when you look at their roster right now and you say they could use one more, but I also think those options could be in-house.
Okay. Yeah. And I think if the leverage guys would be Abreu and Hader, like those are the clear-cut leverage guys. But to your point, like there's a lot of different guys that could plug into like middle relief type of roles. But beyond that, I mean, again, Jake Myers is $4.5 million too. So you're not even shedding that much money, and he's great out there.
That's a good deal. That's a great deal.
It's a great deal. And you got another year of control after it. And then, from that point forward, it would be really nice to shed Christian Walker's 20. It's just not going to happen. Good luck. 2 years for $40 million. Maybe if you pay it down. But at that point, I'd almost rather just see if he bounces back. He's not 40.
No.
He's 35.
I'm letting him bounce back.
Because if he bounces back, if he's 80% of what you thought you were getting, all of a sudden, if some other things go right, we're talking about a team that can, make a little run here. Again, I like the Correa addition. He makes them better, but Correa and Walker are accounting for $42 million this coming season. So point being, if you could somehow move Lance McCullers 17, that'd be great. You can't. It's just not possible. So there really is nowhere else to clear up money than Jesus Sanchez. And I think to the point now, like they brought in Sanchez. He didn't swing it well there. It was a small sample, but he wasn't great after the trade. And you mentioned it, like I want Cam Smith playing every day. He's one of my breakout candidates for next year, even in a down year where he skipped the minor leagues. And it wasn't even a down year. How can you call it a down year when he literally skipped the minor leagues? It was a 90 WRC plus, so he's 10% below league average, and he graded out as above average defender in the outfield. He can run a little bit. He was a one-win player, having skipped the minor leagues. I think he's going to have a nice year next year. I think he could easily be a 3+ win player. We need to path to more ABs for him, and he's a better defender out there anyways. I think you just have to look at Sanchez as kind of a salary dump. And he's worth a little bit more than that, and so that's why it's going to be a very unsexy trade here. But I'm looking at what the Marlins got, which was another half season of control, and it wasn't very much. Two birds with one stone, because I actually like this trade for the team that we're going to actually GM a little bit later. I think you trade Jesus Sanchez to the Angels. I was looking desperately for teams that may want Jesus Sanchez, and there's not a lot of them that I think it would fit that well in. Sanchez is a left-handed bat that, you look at the handedness of the Angels lineup right now, not a lot of left-handed pop. Right now they have Bryce Teodosio projected to play center field. I understand that Joe Adell is not a good center fielder, but I just don't think they care that much. And I think they just need offensive upside. I also think there's a very real scenario where Jorge Soler is not justifiable to have in the lineup every single day because he's either not able to play defense, his back's affecting him. And when that's happening, usually his offense suffers. And I think you need some other option there as well. I think you just trade Jesus Sanchez there. I was thinking about it. We were talking about this with Peyton. with Podcast P, who's a little under the weather. We'll have him back soon. They have 0 left-handed pitchers in that system, like from top to bottom. I think there's 3 left-handed pitchers in the entire organization, or like 5 total, but like starters, I think there's like 2 or 3. I think you go Mitch Ferris and depth, Juan Flores, a catcher. They need some catching depth for Jesus Sanchez to the Angels.
So it's funny. We were spending our morning doing the same exercise without telling each other. I was also trying to find landing spots for Jesus Sanchez, and I looked at the Angels. And then I thought to myself, that's the worst defensive outfield in the history of anything. In the history of anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's worse than my high school defensive outfield. I mean, that is Joe Adell.
What if you put Trout in a corner?
No, he can't.
I agree.
Like, he can't. So, again, the Angels need an outfielder. When we play GM, I have their outfielder. I actually found what I think to be a better team and a position that he could actually play, and he would make the team he's going to actually better.
Where else do we dump this guy?
I'm going to tell you. The Detroit Tigers. And let me tell you why. In right field, they have Wenzel Perez, who mashes left-handed pitching. The problem is he put up a 608 OPS against right-handed pitching. I think he's a soft side of the platoon bat. And I think they're going into next year saying, this is our right fielder. Jesus Sanchez is not expensive, and you'd create a pretty good platoon out there in right field.
And Scott Harris is obsessed with matchups. I don't know if there's a GM more obsessed with matchups. And Jesus Sanchez should never see a lefty, to be fair. And he won't. I can promise
you never will. Like, he'll never see a lefty. All he would do is play against right-handed pitching. And maybe Scott Harris and Hinch, they notice a matchup where Wenzel Perez is actually better against this righty. Whatever. You can still play Perez more often than you would Jesus Sanchez. But the Tigers are also, I would say, not in desperate need for power, but they could certainly use some power. So Jesus Sanchez can be used as a pinch-hitting power bat off the bench and also play that platoon role with Perez in right field. And instead of giving him to the Angels where it's like, okay, they need an outfielder, yes, he would actually play every day. And that's why I understand why you went there. This is actually a better role for Jesus Sanchez. And he's not expensive, so it's not like the Tigers would have to give up that much in a salary dump, and it genuinely makes them better. While it would make the Angels quote-unquote better, I just couldn't get over how bad that outfield would be defensively. I couldn't do it. I was like, it's so unfair to the Angels to literally play 3 of the worst defensive outfielders in baseball in the same outfield every day.
Well, while at the same time, I'm telling them why are they running Joe Adell into center field every day, and I'm now forcing it that way.
Yeah.
But so no, that makes sense. I like it. And what's interesting is, I think the platoon situation there, like that could be where Sanchez actually, when he isn't like ever fully just settled into like, all right, dude, like ship is sailing on lefties. Like just learn how to hit righties as well as you can. Just don't even worry about lefties anymore. And let's see what happens. And I do like it from that perspective. And you look at, again, the power potential he could bring to the table. It's great. And then you think about, the next thought was like, okay, well, who could he be blocking? Not really anybody. It's 2 years of control. And, the top prospects that are going to be there sooner are like all infielders, pretty much all of them. So right. I think it makes some sense. I'm thinking about like what, again, I don't think he has a ton of trade value. So what the Astros may want in return, like maybe some catching depth. Eduardo Valencia came out of nowhere this past year. I don't love him as a defensive catcher. And I think the Astros need more of an actual defensive catcher, but he is an above average bat that I thought could have honestly snuck through the Rule 5 draft. Scott Harris didn't want to risk it. And at least he can catch. So he gives them some catching depth to buy some time potentially until, I think they have one of the best defensive catchers in the minor leagues that'll be ready probably in the next year or so for the Astros. But I think Valencia and like a flyer, and I can come up with a flyer, probably.
I think Valencia is enough.
Yeah.
This guy, you're trading for a platoon bat. Now, it's the strong side of the platoon, but he can't play defense. maybe you'd have to add a flyer, but I really just don't think it's going to be that expensive. And I think, who'd you say that guy Valencia? I think he's perfect because I've never heard of him.
Dude, it's crazy actually. He had a career 690 OPS, having never played above low A and a little bit of high A, and signed in 2018. And then like the Tigers were just like, we need someone in double A. So they threw him up in double A, and he hit 24 homers between double and triple A last year. So cool story. You turned into a trade chip.
I'm just laughing because what other podcast on the face of the planet is talking about a high A catcher for the Tigers in the Playing GM episode for the Astros and like knowing a lot about him,
Dude, he hits the ball hard now.
You're the best.
It's all about the glove. So yeah, that we'll just go Valencia, and then I'm going to throw in some random left-handed pitcher just so that we can have another left-handed pitcher.
Just a guy, maybe even like a guy.
All these guys are too good.
Give him like a guy who throws BP before the
Blake
game.
Dickerson. Perfect.
Dickerson.
I think he was throwing 88 last time I checked in. So,
perfect.
Yeah. There we go.
For Valencia and Blake Dickerson. Don't worry, Astros fans. We are cooking here. We just traded Jesus Sanchez to the Tigers for what's Valencia's first name?
Eduardo Valencia.
Eduardo. Okay. Eduardo Valencia and Blake Dickerson. That's going to bang on a graphic.
Yep. Yeah. People are going to go, who? What?
So how much money did we just remove?
$6.5 million.
$6.5 million.
Now
we have about 13 million.
Yeah. Got about 13. I'll be honest. So where I was thinking of going, but now it kind of sounds like a bad idea based on what, at least it just doesn't sound like where you were going with it. I do feel, okay. I'm nervous that Josh Hader's injury, that shoulder thing at the end of the year, could linger. And if it does, who are your leverage arms? It's Brian Abreu and who else? And also, like, I just think it's a staff that I'm more and more bullish on. I think Burrows is going to take a leap. I love him as the fit there. You know how I feel about Amai. And then, I think they've got enough going there, and they've got some depth too. I also think about Arrighetti in one inning spurts and think, oh man, like that guy could totally be a force. But I don't think it would hurt to have another leverage arm, but that might be the entirety of the budget. Like, what is a Michael Kopech going to cost?
That's why we go cheaper and we swing for a home run, because we still think that Josh Hader will pitch. I agree with you. There are concerns.
I think he will pitch. Yeah, of course.
So instead of signing a actual high leverage arm, we swing for the fences on a guy who's going to be cheaper and can be a leverage arm.
Okay.
And that's Evan Phillips.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good fit.
Because Evan Phillips is what, going to be $5 million? 4?
Maybe, 4.
4? And then the pitcher we trade for is 6.5. We're staying under budget. So those were my moves.
Okay.
Trade Jesus Sanchez to the Tigers. And that's all I wrote, and I was like going to hand it off to you because I don't know the prospects. So especially in the lower levels, like I could do the top end prospects, I can't do the catcher in low A who just broke out. So that's why I handed that off to you. And then I actually did come up with a package to trade for Mackenzie Gore, and then I was going to sign Evan Phillips because I feel comfortable enough in Josh Hader and Brian Abreu being my guys. And if one of them were to falter, let's take a home run type swing on an Evan Phillips, who has been a legit high leverage reliever before, but has dealt with injuries with the LA Dodgers now for a few seasons. But if he is healthy, I feel confident that he can at least lock down the 7th inning. And of course, there's upside for him to be a legit 8th or 9th inning guy if Hader were to go down.
How the hell do we get Mackenzie Gore?
So now we get into the next part of playing GM. Here's my trade package. And they might genuinely not be able to. They might not. And we are kind of trading the farm. But when's the last time the Astros had a good farm anyway? I think, and the reason I'm willing to trade basically the farm for him is because the American League is wide open. The Astros are likely not going to be able to sustain this lineup for a very long time. Right? Altuve is aging out. Bregman's been gone. Fromber's now gone. The core of what made the Astros dynasty is falling apart in a way. and they're trying to get younger. But we're coming up on the final years of the Astros truly being a World Series contender. And when I look at their roster right now, I think they are potentially a Mackenzie Gore type arm away from winning the American League.
Mm-hmm.
This lineup rakes. Like, I know they struggled last year. There was not a lot of Jordan. Christian Walker struggled. Yainer Diaz struggled. But even if you get 70% versions of those guys with Pena, with Correa, with Paredes, with Cam Smith in year 2, this lineup is going to be really good. And the bullpen has proven to be at least solid. You bring in Imai, you have Javier, you have Hunter Brown, you have Mike Burrows. You put Mackenzie Gore in there, the Astros can look across the landscape of the American League and tell themselves, we can win the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
We can do it. We've gone up against the Dodgers and beaten them. Now I know, there might be a cheating allegation thrown in there or two, but I'm telling you, we're playing general manager for the Astros. This is what they believe.
Yeah. We're innocent.
We're innocent. We can beat anybody in front of us. Now is the time to trade from the farm. And it's not like, are we building around Bryce Matthews,
no,
Xavier Nyans, Ryan Furcucci, and Kevin Alvarez?
No,
4 top 10 guys.
I wonder, I think you gotta include like a big league arm in here, like not like a big league arm in terms of like Arrighetti.
I didn't think they'd want one. That's why I didn't include them. I included because I was like, what does Spencer Arrighetti do for the 2026 to 2028 Nationals? Nothing.
Well, he's under control for how long? Getty, because like there's a certain point where it's just like they need pitchers, period, and then they could always flip him. But he's gonna hit ARB in 27. It's hard. I mean, I think Bryce Matthews and Xavier Nyans are a great 1-2 starting point. Yeah. I love Walker Yannick. I think, the Nationals have Keibert Ruiz locked up and just traded for Harry Ford. Because I think Yannick is a guy that like publicly is not valued as high as he is privately. Because like all these teams can see how good of a defender he is.
Again, my dumb brain, which I guess was not dumb in this context, didn't include a catcher because they just traded for Harry Ford. I assume they wouldn't want to.
I don't think it's
catcher, even if this guy is technically a better prospect. Maybe they still do. They need everything.
They need everything.
I was like, they just traded for Harry Ford. Let's pick someone else.
But I agree. Like that is generally you want the best haul possible. I think there could be an iteration where it's like a 3-team trade too, and we come up with something like Arrighetti goes another way, and that team sends prospects, this way. But that would take some galaxy brain stuff that we don't have time for. I'm just trying to figure out how we can actually make it a realistic.
I just want to know, are those 4 guys that I named enough for Mackenzie Gore?
I think it's a little light. Because I just think other teams can it's not that like in a vacuum, the package is not
other teams would
equitable. It's just, if I see that and they do like last offer, I'm beating that. Like I'm if I'm the Red Sox, if I'm any other team, I'm finding a way to beat that. But and the fact that they're who I had probably as their number 1 and 3 prospects, both just got traded, that does make it harder. I think if I were the Nationals, I'd have interest in AJ Bluebaugh too, who I thought was really good in a hybrid role last year. Does bring something to the table for the Astros, but he's also 6 years of control. So I think if you go Nyans, so what did you say? You said Nyans and who?
I said Nyans, Matthews, Furcucci, and Kevin Alvarez. All in your top 10 prospects, which you can find on justbaseball.com.
Yeah. Instead of Furcucci, we go Bluebaugh.
Okay.
And this is kind of like a quantity package, like
it is
like the Shane Baz situation, but different.
AJ Bluebaugh. Okay.
I think people are going to say it's too light. I get it, but hey, we offered it.
We offered it, and it is it's just not as sexy as some other packages that we've done for Mackenzie Gore. But if the Nationals would prefer quantity, and there's still quality in there. I mean, Matthews and Nyans are both at least near top 100 prospects. They're just probably near the bottom of the top 100. But how many
are just really outside?
But normally what we're doing in a Mackenzie Gore trade is trading like the 40th best prospect in baseball and then 2 others outside the top 100. If we have 2 guys on the limits of the top 100, an MLB ready pitcher, and then another lottery ticket, it's not light. It's just, I would say, equal to a lot of the trade offers for Mackenzie Gore. But because the Astros have a really weak system, we just kind of say, well, another team could beat it. But we've seen this before where another team could beat the Tatsuya Imai deal, but they didn't. Another team could have beat the Okamoto deal, but they didn't, right?
Yep.
This is at least in a vacuum fair, makes sense for both sides, keeps the Astros under the luxury tax, and what do they need most of all? Left-handed starter.
Yeah. I mean, for the Astros, it's a no-brainer. I'd literally be asking them, what do I need to give you? And whatever it is, I'm doing it. I don't think there's any iteration of a package unless they want Cam Smith I'm saying no to. That Cam Smith might be where I draw the line just because of how many years you're going to get him and how good I think he's going to be next year. But yeah, I think that again, and people can pick and choose. I think you could also get creative. I think a lot of teams have value in Arrighetti, who was banged up and just disappointing last year. The guy was striking out more than 10 per 9 a year ago. So I think that could be, if you don't like this iteration of the trade, we could get creative enough and flip Arrighetti to a third team, and those prospects come the Nationals way as well and figure it out. But I think the general sentiment is Astros do whatever, and we can almost maybe put that in the graphic, this package or whatever it takes to get Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, instead of the players involved, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Except Cam Smith.
Except Cam Smith. Cam Smith. I actually would love that to be the graphic. But yeah, I love it. I mean, and again, they don't need to do anything else. It sets them up for next year too. And next year being 27. Oh, we're not going to have baseball. Yes, we will. It's just, maybe it's 10 less games. It sets them up for 27. And, I think Gore is a guy that has had these ups and downs. And again, I give the Astros a lot of credit though. I think they're really good at arsenal optimization. Look at Kikuchi when he was there. I think this is a similar case where Kikuchi, you see the stuff, you see the stretches, you're like, why can't he do this longer and more consistently? And then they adjust his usage, his location, and boom, he does it. I think Gore could be a very similar case where it's like, there he is, and he fully unlocks it. So again, whatever it takes, I love it.
Look at Garrett Cole and the Astros coming from the Pirates.
Morton, Verlander, even
there's a lot of examples.
They seem to just work well with guys, vets, young guys, whatever it may be.
So there you go. I think those are our 3 moves. I didn't have anything else written down.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think this new front office is in Washington is going to value a Nyans type and be more willing to roll the dice. I mean, Nyans is, I think, a top 100 talent, huge whiff risk, but also has star potential. And you don't get to acquire those guys just drafted, right? So we just talked about the value of a guy that you don't have to add to the 40-man for a handful of years. Those guys carry about the same value as I think a top 100 prospect. So I love it.
This is also a team that drafted Elijah Green. So you can't tell me about whiff.
Yeah, I think, and well, I wonder if how many people are going to be left from when they drafted him. Sure. They are going young, and I love it. But I think that's it. This team now, as constructed, can very easily get hot and win the World Series.
Exactly.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Need some things to go right.
Yep.
But they have some depth now still. I love the rotation. Pena made a leap last year. Jordan, he doesn't even need to play 140 games. If you get 120 games, give him a day off every single week, you're going to be way better off because that guy had 200 plate appearances last year. So
exactly.
I like it. And I still think Walker can't really be much worse. So I like it. I'm bullish on the Astros, even if they don't do this. But if they do, I'm in. By the way, my minor league deal, I brought back Cooper Hummel. They need a left-handed bat. They need some depth.
Let's add that. So we traded Bryce Matthews, Xavier Nyans, AJ Bluebaugh, and Kevin Alvarez for Mackenzie Gore. We signed Evan Phillips to a 1-year, $4 million deal. We traded Jesus Sanchez to the Tigers for Eduardo Valencia and Blake Dickerson. And we signed Cooper Hummel to a minor league deal. Dana Brown, if you're listening,
do it.
Do it. Those are the deals you got to make.